Hello everyone, this is Bob Phipps with the Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'd like to welcome you to this edition of Chamber Talk. Today we're located at 203 West Grimes, which is the residence of A.K. Harper, and of course everyone in Fairfield by now knows that Harper Brush Works is celebrating their 100th anniversary in Fairfield. The residence you see behind Barry and myself is the residence of A.K., built in 1927. And at this time, I'd like to introduce to you Barry Harper, who's the grandson of the founder of Harper Brush Works, A.K. Harper, and Barry is now the president of Harper Brush Works. Barry, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for inviting me to be on your program. I want to welcome all the people of Fairfield to our celebration. It's coming up this weekend.
Well, on behalf of the community, I'd like to thank Harper Brush, its employees, and the board of directors for doing all the great work that you've done over the 100 years plus, putting together this celebration. I know downtown looks great with the banners up and the brooms on the light poles. That's a little different.
It's been a lot of fun planning this event, and we've had a lot of participation both from the community and our employees. The banners, the brooms are going to be donated to the city to use to keep the city clean, and we're having a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'd like to talk just a minute about this house. It was built in 1927 by A.K., and as I told you earlier, I've never known him by any other name than A.K. Harper. But he built this in 1927, and I imagine at the time bought this entire piece of ground.
I think so. There were a couple other houses in the west lot and in the east lot facing Grimes, and there were some houses behind this house that were smaller homes that I think both my parents and Dale and Dorothy Harper lived in when they first got married. But this home, built in 1927, I've been told that the brick came from Kansas, and if you notice it is a yellow brick, and so I think it ties into the Wizard of Oz story. It's got a lot of nice features inside. It's got phones upstairs and down, and it's got a laundry chute and just a lot of neat things that didn't know were available back in the 20s.
Well, Barry, and you've really decorated the yard out here in front. Looks beautiful.
Thank you. Harper's colors are red, black, and white, and so we've kind of kept to that color theme, and I enjoy flowers, and I think we're trying to be good neighbors because we are in a neighborhood rather than an industrial park, and so by trying to make it look like a park-like environment, hopefully we're good neighbors.
Well, Barry, let's talk just a little about how Harper Brush got started. Now, A.K. started this a couple of blocks away in a garage.
Right.
And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the stories that have been passed down is that he went out and was selling some things as a very young boy at age 11, selling needles to ladies in the neighborhood, and finally he had somebody call on his mother who was selling a brush and a window washer, and he thought that was a good combination, and he thought he could improve upon it. So he had a company in Chicago build some prototypes for him, and he was attending Parsons College during this time, and he would make brushes during the school year and then recruit fellow students to go out and sell during the summer. So he kind of was a pioneer in door-to-door selling.
And that would have been back in about what year?
Well, the company, officially, we say it started in 1900, but he was doing this a little bit before that, maybe 1898, 1899. But our official start, as far as we're concerned, is 1900.
Well, then Harper Brush has grown quite dramatically in the last how many years?
Well, in the 90s we've had some really explosive growth. Up until that point, our sales had just been a nice steady growth. I was looking over some old sales figures, and back in 1914, which is far back as we can go, I think the company's sales were $32,000 in a whole year. So we're doing much better than that now, and our thrust in the last 10 years has been getting into some retail stores that have really done a nice job, as well as supplementing our other channel of distribution, which is the old line traditional wagon jobber.
Well, tell us about the wagon jobber. You kind of rekindled that with a new idea, haven't you?
Correct. Again, when you go back to the 1900s, AK would recruit these college students, and they would get the product and go out and call on individuals. In the mid-1930s, the shift shifted away to going after industrial business, so they upgraded the quality of the product, and they started selling from business to business. And this last 3 years, we've put an extra emphasis on going after the business on a door-to-door basis by buying some vans, putting inventory in it, recruiting people to go out and sell, carrying the receivables, doing all the paperwork for these people so that they can then go out and just really concentrate on selling. So we have over 160 distributors nationwide, and we've got about 20 people out in vans owned by the company.
And in how many states are those vans in now?
I think about a half a dozen vans, a half a dozen states, I'm sorry. The goal over the next 5 years or so is to get another couple hundred people out on the road selling this.
And another nice thing, you do train them right here in Fairfield, don't you?
Yes, we fly them into Fairfield, and they go through what we call a boot camp. In a 7-day period, they put in 70 hours of classroom time as well as actual selling time, getting product knowledge and how to run a business and how to do the paperwork and all those kinds of things.
Well, right next door is the main factory. At least it was in the beginning when he built a factory. Of course, it's been added on to. How many employees did he start with, do you think?
I'm not sure how many he had initially. Back in the 1900s, early 1900s, it was very labor intensive because every brush was hand sewn, and we have a couple of samples over in our display case over there. Now everything's automated. Right now we're at about 125 employees. We've got warehouses in Santa Fe Springs, California, and Toronto, Canada, as well as this shipping point. One of the interesting things on the building here on 2nd and Grimes is my grandfather's philosophy was to have separate buildings for different operations. So the paint department was one building, and the brush department was another, and the woodworking was another. Over the years, we've kind of joined all those buildings together and made it one factory. So it's not as conducive for an optimum manufacturing flow, but it certainly does the purpose well now. And of course, as a lot of people know, we're adding on to our facility out in the industrial park to try to get everybody under one roof.
That's right. Well, we're going to do a little more visiting with Barry, and we're going to look at the factory next door, so we'll be right back after we change locations.
This is a picture of some of the buildings here at the factory that show the scene around 1930s. Notice the employees and the garb that they wore then. But notice also the three buildings are separated, whereas in about 1965 we joined all those buildings together to make them one, and we joined the floors together and everything. So kind of improves our manufacturing process.
Well, Barry, we've moved over to the lobby of your plant number 1, and this has been the home office for Harper Brush for many years. We have some pictures on the wall that I'd like for you to talk a little bit about. It kind of goes back to AK and some others that everyone in Fairfield should remember, but let's start with AK's picture.
Okay. AK was born in 1878 and lived to be about 92 years old. He started the business, as I had previously mentioned, while he was in college. He also, during his early days, was an evangelist and did a lot of Chautauqua-type meetings and road shows, so to speak. And during that period of time, after about 1930, my father, Paul Harper, was the general manager and ran the business from about 1934 to his death in 1960. And at that time, Shorty Long, who was my uncle and married Portia Harper Long, ran the business as the general manager. And prior to his days as general manager, he was a sales manager for the company as well as the plant manager. So he had a lot of good experience all up and down. He also was active in the evangelist part of the situation that AK participated in, and Shorty was a song leader and did some other things. The other member up there is Dale Harper. He was a younger brother of my dad, and Dale married Dorothy Simmons, who is still alive, living here in Fairfield, and is the oldest second-generation owner of the company. Dale worked off and on here at the factory and was a school teacher out in California for a lot of his career. So in 1990, the end of 1990, I came back and took over the business as president, and I've been doing that ever since. In the interim between Shorty's retirement in 1972, we had two outside managers. Harry Kirschman, who's still a member of the community, ran the business from about 1972 to 1981, I think it was, and then a gentleman by the name of Gil Grady ran the business from 1981 to his retirement in 1990. So we've had fairly limited executive force.
That's right, and over 100 years, that's a pretty good record.
Right.
Well, we also have a display case on the other side of the lobby, and gee, I think some of these might be original brushes.
Some of them are fairly old. I was talking earlier about how they made brushes by hand, and this is an example of it, where you can see the hand wire and it's hand drawn. A couple of people that I've met since I came back to run the business are still alive in the community that worked here when they were in high school or college. Jim Turner is one, and Jim showed me one day the calluses that he still had on his fingers from pulling this wire through, because this was very hard work, and of course they were paid by the piece rate. I bumped into Lee Crew the other day, and he said he also made brushes this way, and he said he was the best brush maker they had as far as speed, so I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. Well, that's one example. What else do we have here?
Well, we have one of the things that we're fairly proud of is that we were one of the originators. We were the originator of this iron connector that joined the handle to the brush, and a lot of problems with most brushes are the handles either work their way loose or they break off, and this design eliminated most of that. Iowa Malibu made this part for us for many, many years until they closed, and now we're having it made by a company out in Decorah, Iowa. So this is still a staple of our product line and helps differentiate us from the competition. It's been very successful and probably been in our line for over 70 years. One of the other things that we do is we paint the ends of our blocks red, and this again is an old-fashioned dust mop, but we put the red ends on our block because that is our trade dress, and so any place you go in the country, if you see a red-ended block, you know it's a Harper brush, and we're really proud of that, and it helps our employees be very conscious of the quality that they should be manufacturing on the product.
Well, we have another case over here with some pictures, and I looked at this earlier, and that's AK's Briefcase.
Yes, that's something that we found in the attic over in the house a couple of years ago and thought it was kind of neat. I'm not sure how old it is or what the origination of it was. He was famous for climbing on the train that used to stop right out here and going to Chicago or going to Burlington or just going someplace else. I want to get out another picture here that shows what we would call our traditional wagon jobber. Here he is with a horse and buggy, and he's got Harper brooms stacked up against it, and this would be the way they would go to market. Sometimes they weren't able to get cash from the people that were buying the product, so they would trade the broom for chickens, and then they'd bring the chickens into town and turn that into cash. So the old barter system was really popular back then.
I doubt that your salesman would do that today.
I don't think so. I think cash is king.
Cash. Any other pictures up here that of note? That's a good picture of the old plant.
I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this, but this is a photo, again, kind of showing the building separate. And before we added on, we've added on to the north of the building in 1960, where you'll see our woodworking department. And then we've added this office and additional warehousing south of the existing building that you see here. This lumber storage, we used to buy the lumber and have to hand stack it to have it dried. And now we buy our lumber kiln dried so it's ready to be used immediately. Most of these other photos are just various salesmen over the years that have sold product for us that go back. We got some old catalogs. This is a photo of AK. He was famous for his bow tie.
Bow ties, that's right. And you even have some Harper's Dust Magic inside.
Yeah.
Is that still a product that you...
We do sell it, and they also sold a dust mop that came in a can. Wendell King, who is a distributor of ours for many years here in Fairfield, just recently brought by a can that has a dust mop inside it for me that I'd never seen before. And so they were in all kinds of cleaning areas.
Well, I'll tell you what, this has been a little tour of the history of Harper Brush so far, and now we're going to adjourn and go downstairs where we're going to visit some production down in the paint shop.
Good.
We'll be right back. Well, Barry, we've moved out to your paint shop, and it's going to be a little noisy in here, so I hope everybody understands that. Let's talk about how these blocks get painted.
Well, first, we just walked through the woodworking department, and we buy our lumber from Canada. It's a hardwood maple, and we take a raw piece of wood and we shape it down to a block similar to this, and we put a rounded end on it, and now we're into the paint department where we're ready to red end it. So again, as I talked about the trade dress, we're putting red paint on each end to give it the Harper look, and we have a dip tank to the right here that we run 8 hours a day just painting red ends. Before the red end is put on, we give it a clear coat of lacquer to seal it, then we do the red ends, and then we give it a second coat of lacquer to give it a high gloss. We're trying to make it look like a furniture grade quality product, and it really helps both for our wagon jobbers as well as the retail customer. When they look at it, they can see the quality in the product.
Well, after the red is painted on, then it goes over to a machine over here. Maybe we can walk over and Richard can get a shot of the blocks going through what kind of treatment?
Well, this is, again, a continuous flow process where we're giving it a clear lacquer coating. It's a water-based lacquer, and it helps seal the block so that if it's outside in weather, it's not going to crack and splinter, and it keeps the paint on in good shape.
How long will these blocks last? Have you ever tested that?
Well, I think we have a couple up in our showcase that are maybe 40 or 50 years old. In fact, some of our wagon jobbers complain that the product lasts too long and they can't sell a repeat customer every 5 years. It really depends on how often the customer is using the product. If they're sweeping with it every day, it's probably going to last a year to 2 years.
Well, in addition to those blocks, there's also the handles that have to be taken care of. And we can see some of those finished products right here.
We buy these handles from Malaysia. They're called a Ramin wood, and it's a very special wood that doesn't warp and has a very tight grain, no knots so they don't break. And we put a tapered end on it so that our iron connector is going to fit over it. We give it a clear coat of lacquer, and we red end it, and then we give it another coat of lacquer. So
right now, what's this operation that we're looking at?
Dixie's putting on the iron connector where she drives it on under pressure, and that ratchety noise is she's driving a nail into the connector so that it will stay on.
And then the operation past that one is what?
Well, she's doing these for our retail customers, so she's making about 1,000 of them will go on that skid that you see there, and it'll then go to shipping where they're assembled with the brush head and iron connector. We make, on the brush blocks, we make everything from 14-inch blocks up to 42-inch blocks. This handle is a traditional 60-inch handle, but we go up to 96 inches for special uses.
Well, you say you buy the wood from Malaysia?
Yes.
But it doesn't come in like that, does
No,
it? Maybe we could walk down here and take a look at your machine that actually turns the handles.
Well, the handle is actually already turned when it comes in from Malaysia. They come in these crates here, and then it goes on to a machine that we put the taper on. If I could walk over here, and one of the things that we're doing is we're putting this taper on the handle so that when we drive the connector on, it's going to be a very tight fit, because there's a lot of inconsistency in the actual diameter.
The machine in the other room then is what puts the taper on, or this one?
This machine right here is not running now, but it's an automatic feed, and it does a couple thousand handles an hour.
Well, that's the story here in the paint shop. And is there anything else to add here?
Yeah, one of the other things we do out here is we stamp and make our metal braces that wrap around the handle and bolt to the brush. We have a punch press that does that, and then we have a powder coating system in this other section of the building that puts a black powder coat on it and bakes it on to keep it from rusting. So that's part of the other process out here in the paint department.
We're talking 8 or 9, 10 steps in putting together one of your brushes.
That's for sure. We'd like to automate some more, and that's what we're trying to do through some process improvements by having more of a continuous flow in the production process.
Okay, well, we're going to take a short break and move out to plant number 2 and have a visit out there. We'll be right back. Well, Barry, we've moved out to plant number 2, which is located in the Fairfield Industrial Park on South 23rd Street. This building behind us was originally built for another company here in Fairfield called Granitech. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's my understanding that Iowa Electric built this as a way of drawing industry into the area. And Granitech, I think, went out of business in 95 or 96. We bought the building at the end of 96 from Iowa Electric and moved in the first part of 97.
And how big is this building?
We have about 27,000 square feet. I think around 1,500 of it is office. I think we got 4.5 acres of land when we first moved out here. Since then, we've bought some additional land from FIDA, I think about another 5 acres with an intent to buy a little bit more than that to square off the property.
In other words, you're not going to get blocked in like you did downtown.
Right. We don't want to have boundaries shutting us down from further expansion.
That's right. Well, it's a pretty good building, and we're going to take a little walk down here. We have something else to talk about that is pretty interesting, Barry. What do we have here, a wagon?
Yeah, one of our employees, Dixie Peck's mother, had this wagon and had actively used it up until a couple years ago, and so we bought it from her because we knew our celebration was coming up. And we've entered this in the Iowa State Parade last year, the State Fair, and we got second place behind the Anheuser-Busch float. And we've done a lot of parades in the local area, the Dowds Parade and Fairfield Kids Day Parade and Old Threshers and some of the other things. Gentleman from Dowds lends us some horses to pull it, so it's a lot of fun.
Well, I hope you continue doing this even after your 100th anniversary of putting this in parades.
We'd like to. I'd kind of like to get a couple other vehicles that kind of reflect the history of the company. We've got our new van that oftentimes will go behind this, but I'd like to get a couple other vehicles that kind of fill the time gap between the early 1900s and today.
Well, you mentioned about the building, but there's a lot of activity out in front. Let's take a walk out in front. What's going on out here?
Well, this facility that we have right now is used primarily for shipping, receiving, warehousing, and our brush fill operation, and we've outgrown the warehousing portion. We've got 3 other buildings around town that we lease to store our product, and so with the land we have out here, we're now in the process of doubling the size of our building and making it a 54,000 square foot building by adding 27,000.
Looks like we have some local contractors here.
Yeah, Schoss Voorhees is the general contractor. Gus is doing an excellent job for us. I think we first started construction about the middle of June, and we expect to be in the building by the middle of October. So we're looking forward to that.
And this will be used primarily for the rest of the factory to come out here and storage?
Actually, we're going to leave the other part of the factory at Plant 1 for the time being. This will be strictly warehousing and shipping facilities. We've got a lot of product that goes to our warehouses out on the West Coast in Canada, and we need some staging area, as well as we do assembly of all our brushes for the retail. So when we ship our product into the retail accounts like a Home Depot, it's readily put together and it's hanging on hooks and it's ready for the customer to buy and use.
Well, we're going to move inside. We'll be right back in a minute and take a look at the production out here at plant number 2. Well, Barry, we moved into plant number 2, and I couldn't resist showing the folks this machine right here. This is a testing machine for your brooms, and it looks like we have a 9424 in there. Is that right?
That's correct.
I didn't know that until I looked at this stuff. And what does this machine do?
Well, this was a machine that some engineers from Iowa State University did as a senior project for us a couple of years ago. We wanted something to do some R&D work on our brushes to see how long they would last and see how they stacked up against our competition. And this machine recreates a traditional sweeping stroke, and we're trying to get a fiber wear as well as some other things we're testing. Right now the machine's not on, but it had gone 35 miles or 62,000 strokes with this machine, and it looks like there's still a lot of wear left on that fiber.
I don't think there's any wear on that fiber.
Well, there is, but that started out as a 4-inch length, and it's probably down to about 3 3/4 or so.
But that's why your jobbers can't go back and sell a broom every year.
That's right. We do offer a lifetime warranty on the for any manufacturing defects, but we don't warranty the brush not wearing out. But they are long-lasting. We use the best fibers we can find, and we try to give our customer their money's worth.
Well, let's take a little tour of plant number 2. We're going to start down the line. And what operation are we going to talk about first?
Well, we've got probably 20 brush machines in this room. The brush machines on my right here are what are known as Carlson machines. They're made here in the United States. They're computer controlled. We program them with different patterns. These particular machines make everything from a car wash brush up to 42-inch brushes. We actually even make one brush that's 54 inches long for a golf course use. So a lot of different uses, but they're a slower machine. They don't have the same output as some of our higher speed equipment that you'll see in a little while.
When were these machines originally invented? Do you have any idea?
Well, right after the war, mechanical machines were made to staple the bristle into the brush block to eliminate the hand sewing. And the first machines were cam operated rather than computer operated, naturally. And we received our first machine in 1946 after the war.
So some of these machines have been around since then?
Yeah, I think we still do have our first machine. The ones you're looking at now aren't that model, but I think in one of the corners we pull it out periodically to run certain brushes on it.
Okay, let's move on down the line. We can also see a lot of warehousing in this plant.
Again, the other machines that we've added to this department are computer controlled. One of the machines is made in Belgium, and we've got 3 machines that are made in Italy. What Richard's zeroing in on now is a brush flagger, a machine that flags and trims the bristles to make it real soft, and that particular brush is used on cars and trucks and various vehicles, so we have to make it really soft so that it doesn't scratch the finish of the car. So that machine is splitting the ends of the fiber to make it very soft and holds water really well.
Split ends is something the women don't want on their hair, right, but you want it on the brushes.
Absolutely, because it will retain more water and not hold the dirt and not scratch the finish.
Okay, here's some larger brushes.
Yeah, this is this would be a 42-inch brush, very popular in warehouse use where you've got big aisles, out in parking lots, that kind of environment.
Okay, and then we can walk over here and take a look at an automated machine that is fairly new to Harper Brush.
Well, this actually is the first automated machine we bought back in 1987. This is a Boucherie that comes from Belgium. It's got 4 stations on it. It does everything from loading the blocks to drilling to stapling the fiber in it to trimming the fiber. So the last operation you saw where it was being trimmed by hand, this machine does it automatically. So the only thing the operator has to do here, is she has to load the blocks, she has to keep the fiber in the machine loaded, and then she offloads the brushes and packs them. This particular brush that she's making is a household brush for kitchens and bathrooms, and we put a rubber bumper around it to keep it from marring the walls. And this does very well in our retail as well as our distributor side of the business.
How many of the brushes that you make can actually be run on this machine?
Up to 24-inch in length is the limitation on this machine. We just placed an order for another machine like this that will be delivered next January, and it runs at twice the speed of what this machine's doing. So it's going to keep an operator very busy.
And behind us we have some warehousing.
Correct. This is one of our warehouses. This holds all our raw materials for our brush machines, and it holds the finished goods for the distributor side of our business.
Well, after Richard takes a look at that, we're going to wander on over here to another station that you can explain this operation.
Okay. Well, one of the things we do is we stamp our name and the model number on all the brush blocks, and this operation on the right here is doing just that. We've got plastic blocks that we put our name on, as well as the wood blocks. The wood blocks, we use a red stamp so that it gets the logo in color. We have to do setups for every different brush block, and we've got about 600 finished goods that we sell to our distributors and to retail.
What particular handle does this go to? You remember?
This, excuse me. This is known as a gong brush. That's multi-purpose. Will clean pots and pans, buckets, undercar wheel wells, any kind of use.
Okay, and then right next to that is another station. And this is putting the name on the blocks.
This particular machine is putting our logo on it, as well as the product number for easy identification. Again, we have to have the logo stays the same, but the product number has to be changed on every case.
Okay, and then we have some more brushes down here.
I don't know if Richard can get a shot of this, but this is a cam-operated machine, and you can see how slow the stroke is on this. This machine is only going to make a few brushes an hour, so we don't use it very often except in special cases or special brushes.
What type of brush is this for?
This would be known as a short-handled gong. And again, it's a multi-purpose brush. Could be used for the dairy industry, food processing industry, automotive industry.
I'll tell you what else it's good for. We use it on the beach when we want to get the sand out of all of our clothes or anything else. Yeah. It really does a nice job.
And that's why it's called a multi-purpose or an all-purpose brush, because it does have a lot of different uses. It's just a good scrub brush.
What's next down the line here, Barry?
Well, if Richard could get a quick shot of these two machines. Back in the mid-'80s, we bought a couple other brush companies, and one of them made shoe polish brushes. And these machines are the machines that the shoe polish brushes are run on. We don't run them very often, and we've kind of gotten out of that business as our focus has changed to the retail, but these are really old machines. Over here on the left, we've got three of our latest machines, which are Borghi machines that are from Italy. These are high-speed, computer-driven machines that will make every kind of brush up to about a 30-inch. I think a couple of them are running around the corner, but we're really pleased with these machines as far as dependability and the speed, and they've helped us keep our pricing in line and not had to raise prices for several years because of the automation.
Well, Richard, if you can get a shot also of the
that's a
dust collector.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, when the block is drilled, you have to drill the wood out, and so there's a suction cup on the drill, and it sucks the wood and any loose fiber out, and so we collect that and then put it in the landfill.
A few years ago, you didn't have those dust collectors. I mean, a long time ago.
Right.
And it was really a little dusty in here, wasn't it?
It was a dirty environment, and a lot of dirt on the floor and in the air, but this building is fairly clean, and we do monitor our air a couple times a year just to make sure we're in compliance.
I think we have one more machine down here, Barry.
one of the things that the growth that we've achieved through our retail sales, it's caused us to go to a second shift and to get this automated equipment. So these machines can do in 1 hour what our old cam machines could do in 1 day. So it's really cut our labor costs down and made it so that we can keep up with the demand.
What's going on here?
Well, this is a two-station machine where two of the heads are being drilled. It's drilling holes that the tuft will be put in, and then it shifts over and it will fill the holes that are drilled. We buy fiber that's about 7 to 8 inches long, and it folds it in half and drives a staple into the hole and secures the tuft of fiber in that hole. We use a lot of different kinds of fiber, everything from horsehair that we get out of China to Tampico and Palmyra. Palmyra comes from India. Tampico comes from Mexico. And then mainly we're using a synthetic fiber that's either made here in the States or over in Italy. The synthetic fibers wear a lot longer, but they aren't as good in a heat environment or an acid environment. So we use the natural fibers when people are around acid or a foundry type environment.
So this is a...
this would be a synthetic fiber. A lot of different diameters. This is a pretty thin one, so it would pick up fine dust, and then you need a bigger diameter if you're pushing gravel or some heavy debris. So again, we got about 600 different line items, probably 40 different kinds of fiber fill in a lot of different configurations.
I'll tell you what, this has been an abbreviated tour of plant number 2. We'd like now to go to the showroom and where we can sit down and visit about the different products that Harper Brush makes. And we'll be right back. Well, Barry, thank you very much for the history lesson about the Harper family and the tour of both plants here in Fairfield. We certainly enjoyed that. Right now we're in your brand new room at plant number 1, and you call it the what room?
We call this our planogram room. This is used to set up displays for various customers, and then we'll take photos of it and send it to them and let them look at the display and see if that's what they're wanting in their stores. We also use it for a training room for all our distributors when they come into town and spend a week with us. Plus we have our employee meetings here and just regular board meetings and things like that. So it's a multi-purpose room for us.
Well, I thought before we ended this show, we'd like to take a look at some of the many products that Harper has that maybe a lot of people don't realize that you really manufacture. So what's this display here? This is a very, in fact, I've seen this display.
Right. We call this an H-frame. This is a type of display that you would find in the large home improvement centers like Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, Home Base, some of our customers. And it's usually an 8-foot or 12-foot width. We can get a couple hundred brooms on it. We carry, I think Home Depot has about 17 different items of ours that they carry in their stores. And so this is just a real good way for the customer to be able to come in and see the product. It's already assembled. It's ready to be taken home and used immediately.
Well, I noticed kind of a special broom over here. Would you like to talk about this?
Well, since this is our 100th anniversary, we thought we'd do something unique and make a commemorative broom. We've taken the basic design and had the brace and the connector powder-coated gold, and then we had lasered in our 100th anniversary logo. And we had these made up for special dignitaries that are going to be attending our ceremony, as well as all the shareholders. And we just thought it was something neat to do.
It is different. Yeah. It's really nice. Well, let's take a look at some of the products. There are many products in this room. I haven't counted them, but let's describe some of the products that Harper has.
Well, this side of the room that we're looking at is primarily for our wagon jobbers, and they're going into all kinds of businesses, everything from a body shop to hospitals to school districts. This particular item here, we own a sister company called Texas Feathers. They're located down in Brownwood, Texas, and they make ostrich dusters and lamb's wool dusters. And of course, you'll find these in a lot of the Walmart stores and Target stores around the country.
I use one of those on a computer screen.
Yeah, they're very good for that. I think we have one that's is actually designed for computers and automotive, that it's a retract, and you also see people in stores carrying these in their hip pockets to dust the shelves. So this section kind of has some mops and buckets. Some of these items we don't manufacture here. We manufacture about 95% of the items we sell. But this is truly products for the janitorial supply industry, people that do cleaning for a living, or any business that has to keep their facilities clean. This next section that we're looking at is part automotive. We've got things, everything from a brush that will clean spokes in between the rims of a tire. This particular brush is used for cleaning a smokestack on a semi-trailer. It wraps around the chrome stack. Small detail brushes, parts brushes. This is tire brush for...
What's the brush of many colors?
This particular brush we make up for our salesmen to carry in because it shows 5 different fills that we have. Everything from a very stiff brush that would be used for pushing concrete, gravel, to a very soft bristle that would be for fine dust in a furniture factory or a cabinet shop. So it's a very good sales tool for them, and they don't have to carry a lot of product in.
And the item on the floor here?
Well, this is kind of a unique item. We sell this to golf courses and farmers and heavy construction sites, job sites. It's a what we call a boot and brush that will clean your boots or shoes. You can flip this back and scrape the mud off, or just knock the dirt off. So it's got a good use.
Okay, and then there's quite a variety of brushes down this way.
Well, I think as I mentioned earlier, we make everything from a 14-inch brush up to a 42-inch brush, and we have about 40 different fills. The key to this is determining what kind of debris the customer is sweeping to the type of floor. If you have a very rough textured floor, you need a different bristle than if you have a very smooth floor. If you're pushing fine cat hair or dog hair or sawdust, you need something different than if you're pushing steel molten parts from a foundry. We have a special brush here that we've designed for water treatment plants. It's made of steel. It's a very heavy brush. Ooh. And it's to keep the side walls of a waste treatment plant clean. So lots of different uses and different brushes. This particular section right here is for car wash, truck wash. We got everything from something like this, which is a hand-glued set made from boar's hair. It's a very soft feel to our traditional Nylex bristles that do a great job on an automotive.
Do people come to you with problems and need a special brush, and then you help design it?
We like to encourage our salesmen to think of us as their sole source of solving the customer's problems, because a customer's problem, we've designed brushes for cleaning out pizza ovens to a chicken, an egg laying facility, and so each factory has a different need, and so by coming to us we try to solve their problems.
Okay. Well, we'll move down this way a little ways.
One of the things that we had talked about in the tour was the handles, and we have probably 50 to 100 different types of handles, everything from a fiberglass extension handle that you can extend out 20-some feet to clean a window, to a flow-through handle that allows water to flow through so that you can use it to wash your vehicles, to a short extension handle that would be used for maybe a duster or something like that. So some of our handles are made overseas. The metal handles come from Italy, and the fiberglass handles are made here in the States.
Okay. And then on this wall is another display. Is this found in some of the stores?
Yeah, this would be a more traditional hardware store display. Somebody that maybe has 4 feet of space in their store up to 12 or 16 feet. This set was set for the True Value stores. We have product in the warehouses for True Value, and so all the 10,000 stores around the country can pull our product out of there if they want to carry it.
And how about the display behind us here?
Well, this display was built for stores that don't have space on their walls for Harper products, so we don't let that stop us from trying to get the customer. We say, well, we'll provide a display that you can sit in the aisle. It holds 12 brooms, and it doesn't take up any wall space. So it does a nice job for us.
Okay. And over to the other side of the room, we find what?
Well, we have a couple displays here that are you can ship in on a pallet. This is a new line that we've just designed. We're calling it the Fiesta line by Cleanco, and Cleanco is a name that had been used by Harper for probably 50, 60 years, and we've just kind of reactivated that name to go with more of a housewares approach rather than an industrial approach. But we've tried to have modern colors, and we've got a dustpan clip to it with a chrome handle, and this would be a very good item for a Walmart or somebody in the housewares category.
So that is a new product?
Yes, that's brand new for us. This product next to it is another extension of the Cleanco line, and we've sold this to Sam's Club on a test market basis, and they've done very well with it.
Looks like you, the display case is actually what you ship in.
That is correct. We'll put a shrink wrap around this and just load it on the truck this way, so when it gets to the store, they're able to immediately put it on the floor for selling.
Okay, and this looks like some heavy-duty brushes over here, or much larger brushes.
Yeah, this side of the room is our retail side. We've got various price points that we try to achieve, not just in the high end, but mid-price and lower end. One of the other things we've done is we've put in different floor textures here for shooting purposes, like if we want to have a shot that makes it look like a kitchen or a dining room or a marble floor or a terrazzo floor. We've done that. So we're, again, using this room for both planogram and for photography.
And on down the wall, we have some more feather dusters.
Yeah. Texas Feathers has about 50 different items in their line, and I think we carry about 15 of them. Again, they have different price points and different qualities of the product.
And this is like the display we have at the chamber office.
Yeah, again, this was a display that was designed to fit a special need for a retail store that said they didn't have space for Harper, but they really would like to carry our products. This display has gone through several reiterations, and in 1999 we won a first place award at the Canadian Hardware Show for this display. It holds about $1,000 worth of product, but it only takes up about 3 square feet of space in a store, so the store people really like that. And we can custom design it for either automotive or hardware or janitorial supply.
And again, this is a type that you would find at Home Depot.
Yeah, this is just another variation with some different product on it. One of the products that we have that's been very popular is we designed this brush for drywall contractors and landscapers, and we put steel down the center of it, and then we put a fine fiber around the edge. So like a drywall contractor would have big hunks of drywall to push, but he'd also have the fine dust. So by combining the two materials, we're able to fit his need. And this is another example of where we've listened to the customer, and he's told us what he needs, and we've been able to kind of solve his sweeping problem.
I would imagine there's a pretty large market for that.
This is one of our more popular items, and we're one of the few companies in the country that can combine both steel and fiber to make a brush. So it's been a good seller for us.
Well, Barry, we've certainly enjoyed the tour and taking a look at all your products. How many products does Harper manufacture today?
We have a little over 600 finished goods and about 2,000 parts altogether that we need to combine to make the 600 products. So we're continually adding, and manufacturing keeps asking us to drop the slow-moving items, but sales keep saying we need everything. So it's a real challenge, but we do have a fairly complete line right now.
And in the beginning, you probably had how many products?
Well, I think AK started the business with just a single item that had 4 different heads that attached, and he called it a 5-piece broom set. So we've kind of grown from 5 items to over 600.
That's very successful business, and we, again, thank you very much for the tour of your plants, and congratulations on your 100 years, and we're certainly looking forward to the next 100.
We are too, and I want to again thank the community and all our employees for the great support they've given us, because without that, 100 years wouldn't have been possible.
Okay, Barry Harper, president of Harper Brush, and we'll see you again on another Chamber Talk show. Hi, this is Bob Phipps with the Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'm back again with Barry Harper. And Barry, place looks a little different today than when we talked the other day.
Yeah, Penny Thurtell, our event coordinator, has done a great job setting up our tents and our catering and flowers, and everything's just looking great.
Well, the tours are going on right now, and people are milling around. And I thought maybe we'd talk with Penny just a minute and find out how this all got put together.
Okay.
Penny Thurtell,
Yes.
welcome to
Thank
FPAC.
you.
And you're the event coordinator for this entire production, is that right?
That is correct.
How long have you been working on this?
I took the assignment in April of 1999, and from that day forward.
Well, what has it been like working on an event like this?
It's had its good times and its bad.
Well, everything today looks good.
It does. And that's how it always works out. Everything always comes together.
What are the plans for the rest of the day for the Harper Brush?
The open house will continue until 3. We will stop that at 3:30 and have a special recognition ceremony. We will be awarding some of our customers, our long-term employees, some of our board members. Then we will also, for people that couldn't get through the plant during 1 to 3, we will offer it back at 5 o'clock tonight. However, we won't be operational at that time. It will just simply be a walkthrough. But what's exciting then is we're going to have a free community concert from 7 to 10. And that's Harper Brush's give back to the community for supporting us over the last century. So we just want the people to come out and help us celebrate.
Well, it doesn't stop with tonight, does it?
No, it doesn't, Bob.
What's going on tomorrow?
Tomorrow, Saturday, it's basically a family and employee day. They're having a family annual shareholder meeting. Then they're going to go to a historical dinner at the McElhaney House. The family members are, and then for our employees and their family and the shareholders' children, we are having a kids' carnival right here on the Harper lawn.
Well, that sounds exciting.
It is going to be a good time.
What's going to be involved with the carnival?
We have clowns and a magic guy and pizza and chips and snow cones and popcorn. We have it all. Games, your carny games and little prizes.
Then does everybody collapse on Sunday?
No, actually we don't. At least the Harper family and myself. We're on our way to the Iowa State Fair. Harper Brush has had a booth in the Varied Industry Building for the last 2 years, and we're going to take the family to the fair so they can see a little bit of Iowa and the Harper booth, and that's truly a family day. Then they'll have their last dinner together at Strawtown Inn in Pella and say their goodbyes when we arrive back on Sunday night.
Well, I'm sure it's been exciting working on this project.
It has.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
So far.
Yes.
No, I'm sure everything will go fine, and we're looking forward to the rest of the events for today.
Great.
Thank
Glad
you,
to have
Penny.
you.
And Barry, while we're walking around the grounds today, maybe we could interview some family members.
Okay. I'm not sure who's all here. Some of them are taking tours and everything, but I see a couple of them over here that would like to have a few words to say.
If
you want me to go get
Sure,
them?
why don't you do that? We'll be right back as soon as Barry comes over here with a family member. And this is Sue Harper. Sue, I'm Bob Phipps.
Bob?
You're a third generation Harper.
That's correct.
And where do you live?
I live in Santa Cruz, California.
And have you been to Fairfield very often?
I get here at least once a year, and usually a couple of times. My mother still lives here, so I come back to see her.
Sure.
And then I usually take a visit of the plant while I'm here.
Well, we'd like to welcome you back to Fairfield.
Thank you. It's wonderful
And,
coming
you having
back.
a good time today?
I'm having a wonderful time.
And how many family members are there here now, today?
I think there's supposed to be 103 of us by the time the event is over, and I imagine most of them are here now.
And I was just talking to Penny, and I guess she has a lot of things planned for the family the rest of the weekend.
Yes, she does. She has us tightly scheduled, I think, so we won't get out of control.
Have you have you been to the Iowa State Fair before?
I have never been to the Iowa State Fair.
Well, it's quite a thrill to go up there.
We are
and
really
see it.
looking forward to it.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming over and visiting with us.
It was a pleasure.
Come back again.
Okay.
right.
Yeah, you can count on me being in Iowa.
Okay.
It's sort of my heartland.
Yes, it
as
is.
It is for most people.
Thank you.
Sure.
And we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Well, we're back, and I have with me Mr. Dick Long. Dick, welcome back to Fairfield.
Thank you.
Where's your hometown now, Dick?
I'm in the process of moving again.
Oh, you are?
I've been a traveling preacher for 40-some years, and this is a move into retirement. So we'll be in the Denver area next month.
Well, Dick, you're third generation. You used to live in Fairfield.
Yes.
And did you go to school in Fairfield?
Up until the 8th grade, and start of high school, I went away to school.
And did you work in the factory at all?
Yes, especially the summers. And they would have a system whereby family members could work in the summertime when they were available, not in school. So,
What was your job? Do you remember?
well, my dad wanted to make sure I was well-rounded, so I once was in the shipping department, in the paint department, brush making, you name it. So get a well-rounded education that way.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
Yes.
And that lasted a few years, I suppose.
Yes. On into college, actually. I imagine it was up to my senior year. I would come back in the summertime and go through the ritual of working in the factory.
Well, of course, what are some of your memories of AK?
Oh, they were strange. Reader's Digest has my most unforgettable character series in its past.
Mm-hmm.
We always thought grandfather should have been nominated for that. He was very unusual.
And of course, your father ran the company for a while.
Yes, he did. When after Paul Harper died, Shorty took over and ran it for a number of years until he retired.
That's right. And for those people that don't remember, that's M.K. Long, better known as Shorty.
Yes. And in 1970, I think it must have been about 72 then, he retired, and Harry Kershwin became the GM or the
That's
CEO.
right.
Yeah.
Well, it's been quite a history here in Fairfield for the past 100 years.
Oh, yes. It's amazing.
Well, the community certainly appreciates everything that Harper's doing, especially this year in this celebration, because
Yeah.
it's nice for the entire community.
Yes, I think so. We're just amazed at how well they've decorated and made us feel welcome, and how together we can share this thing. And it's been to both our benefits and our glory and
right.
profit and so forth.
Well, we appreciate you taking time to visit with us today, and best of luck in retirement, and we'll hope to see you again sometime.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dick. And we'll be back again with another interview in just a moment.
I got the elbow.
Well, we're back, and I have with me Mr. Bill Harper. Bill, welcome to Fairfield again.
Thank you very much, Robert.
You're a third-generation Harper.
Yes, I am.
Let's talk a little bit about your childhood in Fairfield. Where'd you go to school?
I started in Logan School, which, of course, no longer exists.
No.
And then, of course, went to Fairfield High School, and actually went to college here for 1 year at Parsons. So I came here for 1 year after having been in California. So I went away and came back.
What about working at Harper Brush? Did you work there?
Well, some people would probably say no, but I did work there. I think I worked there.
Okay, what'd you do?
Everything. Everything from when I was probably too young to work in the factory because of the insurance laws. There was used to be a hut right beside AK's house, and the young generation was allowed to fill envelopes and do various tasks.
So you weren't really in the building, though?
Not when at that age, but from the time I was old enough that the insurance, I ran brush machines, I put together squeegees, I worked a lot in the paint room, unloaded lumber, worked in the office when I got older, so there wasn't much I didn't do.
Well-rounded education right here at
Yes,
Harper
it was. It was a good education.
What are some of your memories about AK?
I remember his love of life. He was a man that was full of a lot of energy. He was a person who believed in getting things done, not just talking about them. So he was a man of action. I can remember as a child riding with him because of his interest, as a lay evangelist. He would go around and drive through the countryside, and he had little prayer tracts that were gospel stories that were wrapped in cellophane paper and a rubber band, and I would ride with him as we'd go out in the country, and we'd stick them in the mailboxes. And of course, during the ride, it was AK was always teaching. And so he was always telling stories and always giving you proverbs of how to live your life and how to be successful in life. So I remember those days as a child riding with him.
And Barry and I were doing a TV show the other day, and we were remembering how he used to get the people to take a break at
Yes.
Harper Brush.
Yeah, long before the laws ever required employees to have breaks, AK would give everyone a break. They had a choice. They could go outside or whatever on their own and just relax, or they could come into one of the rooms that was set aside for chapel, and local ministers would come in. He'd almost always serve ice cream. That's what we remember as
the
kids.
ice cream tent is right over there.
So we remember the ice cream as kids, and he usually wore a white soda jerk jacket, as part of the uniform of the day for that type of thing.
Well, those are some great memories.
Yeah, they are.
And, of course, where do you live now, Bill?
I live in Boston.
And how's Boston?
Boston's a big city. It's not like Fairfield, but it's a good city in the sense of a lot of history, a lot of culture, a lot of education. So it's a good place to live now.
But you do get back here occasionally.
I serve on the board of the company, and so I'm usually back in Fairfield 3 or 4 times a year, and always look forward to it. One of the memories I always have is that the education system is something that is dear to our hearts. I'm a professor and run a president of a business school, and so I think one of the things I'm proudest of is our foundation that gives awards to teachers and scholarships for students. And I remember to this day I could name every single teacher I had at Logan Grade School from kindergarten through 8th grade.
Okay, go ahead.
Miss Ramsey, who used to live in the house that was right here in the corner, was the kindergarten teacher. Miss Whalen was the 1st grade teacher. The 2nd grade teacher, I'm not sure, so I'm going to skip. The 3rd grade was Miss George. 4th was Miss Harding. 5th was Miss Sauer.
Who later became a principal.
Yeah. 6th was Miss McPherson. 7th was Miss Herliska, and 8th was Miss Edwards.
That's very good.
So, we feel strongly about the solid raising, the great community we were raised in. We're just delighted that we can give something back.
Well, we certainly appreciate it. In addition to the scholarships and the Teacher of the Year award, the community sure thanks the board for all this festivity today, too, celebrating 100 years.
It wouldn't be right to celebrate the 100 years without celebrating the community that means so much, and so many people who over the years have worked in the factory. I mean, I ran into Jim Turner, and I remember as a young kid, Jim Turner was a key member of the employee staff before he went on to the bank.
Well, I noticed his pictures inside the front door.
Yeah.
Well, Bill,
Great.
Thank you very much for joining
Thanks
us today, and come back anytime.
I'll look forward to it.
Okay. Well, we've been visiting with family members, but now I have someone that used to live in Fairfield, Carter Wilson.
How you doing,
Welcome
Bob?
back, Carter.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you again.
Appreciate being back.
What year did you leave Fairfield?
Christmas Day of 90.
So it's been 10 years.
10 years.
Almost.
Yeah, fairly quickly.
Well, you're with Texas Feathers, which is part of the Harper Brush
Corporation.
Corporation.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about Texas Feathers and where you're located.
Well,
Of course, it's in Texas.
absolutely. For a long time it wasn't. That's when I was here.
That's right.
The Harper Corporation bought Texas Feathers in 1983 in August, and I started with them in June of 84. And we make and distribute dusting products of all types. And my particular area is the retail sector: Walmart, Kmart, Target, Home Depot, grocery chains, so forth.
Well, I know you're famous for your feather dusters. What kind of feathers do you actually use for those feather dusters?
We use genuine ostrich. It's the only feather worldwide that actually collects and holds dust.
And do you have to go on buying trips to purchase those?
No, I would love to go to South Africa, but I'm in sales, so the buying people go there.
I see. And you're living in Texas,
Yes.
close to the plant?
No, I'm about 2 hours and a half away from the plant. I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
Well, for those that remember you when you were here, how about your family? Where is everybody?
Jan and I are celebrating our 34th anniversary this Sunday, and I've got a daughter that graduated from Iowa State that lives in Houston. I've got another daughter that graduated from Iowa State in Irving, Texas, which is the Metroplex, and I've got a son that's also living in the Metroplex.
Well, that's great. And you don't get back here very often, do you?
It's the first time on business in 10 years. I've come through on vacation once.
Well, Carter, we thank you for taking a few minutes and visiting with us, and welcome back. And come back again. Don't stay away 10 years.
Oh, I'd like to.
Okay, good to see you, Carter.
You bet, Bob.
And we'll be back in just a minute after we take a break. Right now I have a friend of the Harper family by the name of Topper, according to your shirt.
Yep.
Topper, what's your full name?
Alfred Tostad
And you live where?
in Groton, South Dakota.
Well, what do you do with Harper Brush Works?
Sell brooms.
You're a wagon jobber,
Yes,
is that
I am.
correct?
I sell brooms, squeegees, brushes, wash brushes, brooms of all kinds.
How long have you been doing this?
8 years.
And what's it like out on the road with that brush truck? And
Beats working. It's a wonderful life. It really is. It's really a nice way to make a living.
are you on the road overnight, or do you get home every night, or how big a territory do you cover?
I do northeast South Dakota, part of western Minnesota, and 10 counties in northeast Nebraska. So I am out, but I only stay out about 3 nights a month. So I'm home most nights.
And of course, you travel alone.
Yes,
And how many accounts do you take care of?
thousands.
Is it mostly industrial or
I do all
residential?
of, hardly any residential. You never call on a residence. What I do mostly is industrial parks, all the factories, all the auto and implement business, body shops, city, county, state government, school buses, ready-mix concrete, people that have a door and a floor.
You ever come across a situation where it demands a certain brush that you really don't have, but you got it made by Harper?
No, I've never had to. I've usually got the right combination of brooms to take care of all their needs.
Well, that's great. And of course, you've been in Fairfield before,
Many times.
but have you ever seen this kind of thing before in Fairfield with the tent and the flowers and
No, they went all out for this one.
it's really great what they've done for the community, and we certainly appreciate it. And we appreciate people like you that work for Harper Brush. Glad you could come back for the celebration.
Thank you.
Enjoy yourself.
Oh, we will.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Topper, thank you. And we'll be back in just a minute. Well, once again, Harper Brush has done an outstanding job on preparing for today's festivities. Right now, Richard's showing you just a few of the things that are going on here at the #1 plant here in Fairfield of Harper Brush. See the large tents that were placed on the property here at the plant #1 site. And I don't know if you can see it over there, Richard, or not, but I see they've got ice cream in the factory sign up that AK was famous for. Well, we're back. And to wrap this show up, we've invited Bev Nelson, who happens to also be president of the Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce, to join us. In addition, Bev, you work here at Harper Brush.
Yes, I do. I'm the Human Resource Administrator. And
what does that mean?
That means I hire, I sometimes fire, I take care of all the benefits. So I wear many hats, let's put it that way.
Well, what's it been like getting ready for this extravaganza, the 100th anniversary?
It's been a lot of work and a lot of teamwork. It's really gone well. We're having a great day here at Harper Brush. Lots of planning. They started the planning a year ago. Booking motels and getting food lined up and a band and all these kinds of things, but it's going really smooth. It's the end of our tours right now, and we probably have had about 650 people come through the plant.
Well, that's great. I think that's maybe more than you expected.
Oh, lots more than we expected. And here shortly we'll start off with our recognition ceremony. We've got some of the politicians, the representatives from the area, the chairman of the board will be speaking, and employees will get recognition for their years of service.
And there's been a lot of improvements made here at plant number 1.
Yes, a lot. Not only just cleanup items to get ready for the celebration, like some spiffing up and stuff, but we've put in a new parking lot lately. The place is expanded just by moving out to the industrial park. Also helped a lot of areas throughout this plant.
Well, what is in store for the staff tomorrow?
Oh, well, the staff tomorrow, some will be in here bright and early in the morning to help move decorations around. The family will be at the country club and at McElhaney House, and so tomorrow evening, so they're going to move some displays and some decorations around, and then get ready for the kids' night. And this tomorrow night is really for the employees and their families, and they're having a magician come in and lots of kids' games and lots of prizes. I saw several boxes full of kids' prizes, and we'll have pizza party, and so it's just going to be a fun time for family.
Well, that's great. And then Sunday, I understand they're going to the State Fair.
Right. All the Harper family shareholders will be bused up to the State Fair, where Harper Brush also has a booth.
Well, you've been very busy, in addition to working at the Chamber as president this year, and this has taken a lot of time. Do you get to be home much?
Not much lately.
Especially with a new arrival at your place.
That's right.
That takes a lot of time, too.
And then you throw in a new business, too. My husband's
right.
new business. So, hey, what the heck? It's been really busy.
Well, Harper Brush has certainly done a great job in thanking the community for the 100 years, and the community certainly thanks Harper Brush for the 100 years. And gee, I was amazed when I went downtown one morning and saw the banners up.
Aren't they great?
And then it dawned on me what was on the next light pole.
Yes, we have push brooms on every other pole. And the push brooms, the city helped put them up, and the city will get all those brooms too. And if you look today in Central Park, there are Fiesta brooms, which are really bright colors, orange and pink and blue, that are on the poles also, and they will be donated to the city also.
Well, even though this show won't be on soon enough, there is a free concert tonight. We hope everybody attends that.
Yep, we do. Full house is the band. So we're hoping to have a really good turnout in Central Park.
That's good. Bev, thanks for spending a few minutes. This is going to wrap this show up for Chamber Talk, and hope everybody enjoyed the Harper Brush 100th anniversary celebration.
I'm Craig Brophy, professional speaker, and what you are about to see is a surprise to the family of A.K. Harper and also a tribute to A.K. It has been an honor to play his part as coming back from heaven for a 20-minute visit to help celebrate this occasion.
I'm riding a train. My name is Lee Gobble. I'm from Fairfield. I'm riding a train through Fairfield and see this huge sign on top of Harper Brush Works, Agents Wanted. I'm very interested in that, so I jump off the train and go apply with Mr. Harper for a position, and he accepts me. Let me introduce myself, and apply. And, you know, this is the part where
Bob Harper? Bob Harper? I want to talk to the chairman of the board, Bob Harper.
Bob Harper.
Bob Harper?
Bob Harper.
Bob Harper, I need to talk to chairman of the board, Bob Harper. Bob, you look wonderful. My grandson, Bob. Oh, you don't recognize me. They gave me this body to come down here with a 20-minute pass I've gotten to come down here from heaven to be a part of this wonderful celebration of my 100th birthday of this company. And it's a pleasure. Grandma Beatrice would like to have been with us this afternoon or this evening, and she sends her love to everyone. But she wasn't able to come because we were only granted one 20-minute pass. We had some discussion, and she insisted that I come down here and be a part of this festivities of this birthday party. And you know, I did not argue. My family, my wonderful family, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, cousins, aunts, uncles. And where's Dorothy? Dorothy, thank you, Bob. You look great. And you can tell that God has a sense of humor giving me this body to get into. This is like a rent-a-body. And he puts me in a pair of cowboy boots. A.K. Harper wearing cowboy boots. Dorothy, my beautiful daughter-in-law, Dorothy.
Well, I loved you.
And I love you too. You're just as beautiful as the day I got called on to my eternal purpose.
How sweet. Thank you.
Oh, my family. I can't say thank you enough. It's been 30 years since I was down here in the flesh. Yes, I started this company. There's no doubt about that. But the reason why you are celebrating 100 years is because of what all of you have done. And I'm so proud of you. Beatrice and I are so proud of you. Never underestimate the importance of being you. Would you please give yourselves and one another a big round of applause for all that you have done and that you do to keep this company going strong. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Now I find it very fitting, and I think for all the blessings that God has blessed us with, that perhaps we should close our eyes and bow our heads and fold our hands, and let's have a word of prayer. Thanks to God above. Dear Heavenly Father, creator of the universe and partner of every successful business, thank you so much for the blessings that you have bestowed upon us, our family, our company, and thank you so much for these wonderful people and for this time that we have together and for these celebrations. Please be a part of these celebrations as you are a part of our company. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. Oh, it's wonderful up there in heaven. I wish I could dwell on it a little bit and tell you what it's about up there, but I have orders. I can't do that. But I will tell you this. When you get there, when your time comes, enjoy life as much as you can because it's the only chance you're going to get. But whenever you pass to that great reward in heaven above, you will not want to come back. Unless, of course, it's to help celebrate your 100th birthday party of your company. Oh, it's wonderful up there. The warmth of God and Jesus as they sit on their thrones, and that warmth of love that radiates from that throne as they look over heaven and earth. I'm sure you being my family have all heard and read in the scriptures How from time to time there are angels among you and you will entertain angels. That is so true. Not only do you entertain angels, but you also entertain servants of God like all of you who have worked and then go to rest from your life's work and born into heaven. You have no idea how much you entertain us up there. God allows us to be able to walk over to the edge of heaven and look down and see you. And you have entertained us many. I will not tell anything on any of you people that I should not. I'm not here to get anyone in trouble. Some of you, however, have entertained us more than others. And would it be a surprise to anyone if I said, when I think about getting on the edge, if John Harper's name came to mind? You entertain us, John. But sometimes you get rather close to the edge. Sometimes I worry that the devil is going to push you over. But you make us proud of you. Because like Jesus, whenever he was out in the wilderness and the devil was tempting him, and the devil says, turn these stones into bread. What was it that Jesus told Satan? Get behind me, Satan.
Yeah, right. Get behind me, Satan.
That's right. Get behind me, Satan. And so that's what John does. Oh, we have fun up there watching him. We try to guess what he's going to do next. John, the devil comes in many shapes, forms, and sizes. Whenever you tell that devil to get behind you and you make that devil frown, you make Jesus smile. But beware of the different shapes, forms, and sizes that Satan comes in. Satan comes in the form of tobacco, John. That grape juice has sat just a little longer than it should have. Do you know anything about the evils of tobacco? Back in my day, John, I gave scholarships. Scholarships to my family and employees who would put behind the evils of tobacco and lead a 100% clean life. And I think the board here, your family and mine, would be more than delighted to give you a handsome scholarship. I'll bet it's been 10 minutes. That's a start. After you've went 10 months and said no, then it's time to talk to this board and say, I am ready for that scholarship. You can do it, John. You can do it. And that 100% clean living that I talked about, everybody up in heaven, including the Lord himself, would just be delighted with 95% from you.
But enjoy the 5.
John, you entertain us. Keep that up. We love you. We love all of our family. And I've heard a professional speaker from time to time that likes to tell a story in kind of a poem sort of a fashion, and I'm going to put John in this story because I think he would fit. There John was one day in a city far away doing some Harper Brush Company business. It was about the middle of May. John was standing in line waiting to get on board a very busy bus, standing in a line so close that the people were about to be crushed. Ahead of him stood a young lady, so fit and trim, in a very tight dress that come down and covered her limbs. Trying to get on board the bus, her legs would not bend. She'd reach around and adjust her zipper a bit, and she would try once again. After several more unsuccessful attempts to adjust her zipper so her lace could be bent, John proves to the world that he is a gent and picks her up, and into the bus she is gently sent. Now this lady gives him a glare like he committed a sin and needs to repent, and says, "Mister, this I will have you know, and I plainly will tell, I only accept a favor like that from someone I know very well." To which John responded, "Apparently you must know me just mighty fine, because that zipper you were zipping was not yours at all, but certainly was mine." Thank you, John. Keep entertaining us. And we enjoy Bob and everybody. Yes, we do. Oh, I wish all of you could have been there. I wish you could have been there and seen us start this business. You all know the history about how I started out by selling sewing needles to the neighbor ladies as just a lad. I knew then that I'd found my passion in life. I wanted to manufacture a quality product and sell it for an affordable price to help America. And what an opportunity. What an opportunity to also spread the gospel. Oh, there we were. We started out, and it wasn't very long, and I decided I wanted to sell this 5-piece brush set. So I sold this 5-piece brush set, and we would ride behind horses, and we'd be in the wagon, and we'd have cages back there for chickens. Because whenever we would pull into the farmer's driveway different times, right there in his lot would be a bunch of chickens running around. And the farmers would come out and say, "We're a little low on money right now," the farmer and his wife would say, "but you have some chickens, and we will trade you this brush set for a few chickens." The farmer no doubt would always say, "If you can catch those chickens, you have a deal." I said, "I'll make you a deal you can't resist. As we cannot catch those 3 chickens, you still keep the brush set." We always caught our chickens. Well, except for once. There once was a time up there on the bluffs of the Mississippi River, overlooking the Mississippi River bottom, that big bottom below, I made this offer to a farmer. This farmer says, "If you can catch those chickens," and I said, "If we can't, you can have the brush set." We couldn't catch those darn chickens. They'd go flying off of that bluff and down into the bottom, into the crops and the vegetation below. A.K. Harper wound up skunked. He didn't catch chicken one. I met that farmer every once in a while up there in heaven. He still likes to rib me a little bit about that time. Him and his wife made it to heaven, and I'll guarantee you, that old fellow's grandchildren and great-grandchildren are still talking about the time that great-granddaddy got the best on Mr. A.K. Harper. I might add also, that brush set is one of many that is still sweeping the nation. Can you imagine yourselves riding behind a horse with these crates in behind you? Can you imagine our CEO, Barry, riding behind that horse from California to Fairfield, Iowa? Sometimes I'm sure that Barry spends more time in the air than he does on the ground. Stewart has come along one time when he was flying up through the skies and they were at high altitude, and she offered him a drink, and he says, "Oh no, too close to the main office." He knows where the main office is, and he's doing a very good job, just like all of you. Oh, you should have been there. Whenever we took that barn, one of our first factories, we cut it into 10 pieces, and we put a couple of Western Broncos on the pieces, and we pulled them down across the snow, and then we tacked it together. It's a wonder somebody didn't get killed. And you can imagine my surprise whenever the fumes got too heavy there and too thick in the doggone barn and the son of a gun exploded. It's a wonder somebody didn't get killed, but all 8 employees got out alive. I wish you could have been there. The growing pains of starting a business. But it's been very well worth it. All of you have showed me that. All of you have showed me that. Yes. As time went on, suddenly I realized selling brush sets was not enough. I had to grow. We owed it to the public and we owed it to God. So I expanded the product line. And I started manufacturing industrial brooms and handheld cleaning tools. I knew I could make a quality product, but how was I going to get my message out to the public about these products that we had to sell? So, just like up here, I put up a sign, agents wanted by the railroad tracks, in hopes that whenever budding entrepreneurs would come down the railroad and they would see that sign looking for an opportunity to be an agent, an opportunity to run their own business, they would stop and inquire. I think there's someone at the door.
I was wondering if there's a Mr. Harper.
I'm A.K. Harper.
Pleased to know you, Mr. Harper. My name is G. Fred Moore.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Moore.
I'm from Rome, Iowa, and I've been offered a position with the Samsonite Luggage Company in Denver. I was just on the way through town. I saw this sign and I said, I don't want to be a salesman. I want to be an agent for the Harper Company.
You've made a very good decision. Colorado, it's pretty out in Colorado, but the air is thin up there. And really, what they have in Colorado is, well, a bunch of mountains and a bunch of rocks. But here in Fairfield, Iowa is a land of opportunity. You were right when you noticed the sign said agent wanted and not salesman wanted. Very, very correct. You have the opportunity here. The opportunity to start your own business, because we will manufacture the product and we will sell you that product for the least possible cost we possibly can and still make a little ourselves. And you take this product and you go out and you put a value on it and you sell it for what you think it's worth. And you have started your own business.
That's just what I hope to hear.
Could you start working for us? Would you like to start working for us?
Oh, Mr. Harper, I sure would.
When would you like to start?
I could start right now, Mr. Harper. We're hungry.
If you're hungry, all you need is a few dollars from your pocket to buy your first brush set. You go out there to some farmer that has chickens running around that driveway. You pull in there, and it's as easy as this, and I know it works because I've done it myself. You pull in there and you ask him if he'll trade you 3 chickens for this brush set, and he will do that. You take that 1 chicken of those 3, you have it tonight for supper. You take the other 2 to town tomorrow morning, you sell them, you come back and buy 6 brush sets, and you are on your way. It's as easy as that, and your business has begun.
Mr. Harper, I'll be here tomorrow morning at this door waiting for you to open.
I will be looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You made a decision you will never regret.
Thank you, Mr. Harper.
God bless you. Many of our original wagon jobbers have passed their business onto their family, just as I and Beatrice have passed our business onto you, our family. We have been proud, very proud, as we watched our sons Dale and Paul and Shorty Long, who we love like a son. Even though he's our son-in-law, he was like a son to us and still is. Very proud as we watch them manage the business. And now it brings much joy to our hearts as we see our grandson Barry steering my company into a bright future. Oh yes, it's so good to see my family excited about my business as I have been. That excitement is what allowed me to pursue my other goals in life, my other ambition of saving souls for the Lord. Let us never forget, it is not what you and I have done, but it is what the Lord has blessed us with and His blessing that has allowed us to grow and prosper. My family has complimented me in many ways, in very many ways. You not only continue to manufacture a quality product that continues to sweep the nation, but you also created a Harper Charitable Foundation. What a compliment. Honoring the very things that meant so much to me: business, religion, education, and youth. Very much a compliment. And I thank you, and Beatrice thanks you for setting that up for us very much. It's going to soon be time for my 20-minute pass to expire. I want to make 2 more points before the Lord pulls me by the shoulder and tells me it's time to go back home. One of them is this: Always allow God to be a big part of your life and listen to what He tries to tell you. Don't expect God to come down from heaven in a big booming voice and say, do this or do that. Ask Him for help and then listen with patience as He will tell you in His own subtle way when the time is right. Never try to bulldoze ahead and say, I know this is what God wants me to do and this is what I'm going to do. Listen to what He's trying to tell you. Don't be like old Jake that came storming through the pearly gates the other day. See, the city that he lived in was a small town alongside of a river, and it was raining continually, day in and day out, night in and night out. Just continued to rain. The waters continued to rise, and pretty soon the levee broke. They sent out rescuers as the water was rushing out of that levee, and the town began to flood. And the water was lapping at the boards of the porch as old Jake sat there. The rescuers pulled over there in a rowboat and says, get in the boat, Jake, we'll save you. Old Jake says, don't worry about me, the Lord will take care of me. I've got more faith than all you put together. It's going to stop raining. He's going to fix that hole in the dike. I have faith. Well, they couldn't make him get in the boat, so they went on. The second day, they come by again with another rowboat, looking for anybody they might have missed. Now old Jake's up there on the roof of his porch. The waters are lapping at the eaves. They said, come on, Jake, get in the boat. He says, don't worry about me, the Lord will take care of me. They went on. The third day, they come by with a helicopter, and they were looking for anybody they might have possibly missed. Not finding anybody, they decided to see how Jake was doing. There Jake was, hanging onto the chimney for all he was worth. The water was up to his neck. They left a rope ladder down to him and says, grab a hold of the ladder and get on, Jake. He hollered up at him, don't worry about me, the Lord will take care of me. Well, he drowned. That's when I met him. He come storming through those pearly gates. He walked right past St. Peter, walked right up to the Lord and said, what happened? He said, I had all this faith in you that you'd make it quit raining. And he says that you'd fix that hole in the dike. And you see this? I drowned. He says, what happened? The Lord says, I don't know what happened. I sent 2 rowboats and a helicopter after you. Listen to what the Lord has to say. And always allow Him to be a big part of your life and of your business, like you have done, obviously, because that's why we're 100 years old. And in our world today, we need to communicate better. In the workplace and in society and everywhere there's lack of communication. Communicate well with everybody you meet. Everywhere, every time. Don't just assume that somebody knows what you're talking about. There's many a war that would never have been fought, many a harsh word never spoken, and many a hard feeling never felt, had people only communicated better. So communicate. When we fail to communicate, we do not get the results that we expect. A story that illustrates this. I feel the Lord tugging at my shoulder. My past must have expired. I'll tell this story and then I'm soon going to have to go. Little Johnny was sitting there in church with his parents. Dad was the type of fellow that he liked to do a lot of good, and he did a lot of good, but he always wanted to be noticed for what he'd done. The offering is about to come. Dad reaches in his pocket and he pulls out a $20 bill and he says, little Johnny, put this in the offering plate when it comes by. And when it comes by, he says, hold that plate up here and that $20 bill up here and let out a loud cough so the people ahead of you will turn around and look back and the people behind you will look up. And let that $20 bill flutter down into the offering plate. It'll make you look good and it'll make me look good. You know what I mean, Johnny? Little Johnny. He was communicating with his dad. He says, I know what you mean, Dad. I'll make you look good. Dad was so pleased because the communication's going on here. The offering plate comes. Little Johnny passes it on. Dad's mouth dropped wide open. He couldn't believe it. Little Johnny says, just wait, Dad. I will really make you proud of me. Just wait. Dad forgets about it, but not little Johnny. Little Johnny has a mission to make Dad look good. That's what he communicated. So church gets over with. Out the door, everybody's filing, shaking hands with the preacher. Dad walks up there, shakes hands with the preacher, pats him on the shoulder. Another good sermon, Pastor. Little Johnny walks up there, reaches in his pocket after he shakes hands with the preacher and says, Pastor, I've got something for you, as he pulls this $20 bill out of his pocket. Everybody stopped. Everybody looked. Everybody listened. People that walked out of the church come back in. Dad was so proud of little Johnny. Little Johnny continues. He says, yeah, he says, my dad says that I was supposed to put this in the offering plate, but I saved it out just for you. I don't know of anybody more deserving than you of this than what you are. Dad says the offering goes to help the poor, and Dad says you're the poorest preacher we ever had. Family, my past is about expired. It may even be over. Thank you for all you do and for all you've done. The youth, the young people here, and your love, the warmth. There's no reason why this company won't be celebrating a 200th birthday in another 100 years. Let's fold our eyes, let's close our eyes, and fold our hands, and bow our heads. Please, as we give thanks to God for all that He has done. Almighty God, loving Savior, thank you for everything and everyone. Please be with our business as we continue to grow. Please be with the business and the people that run it. May we always continue to make you an active part of our business. Everything we pray in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Perfection. You